All right. So, and hear me out here. What if we played cantrips in a non-blue deck? Oh, I like the sound of this. Hey folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another direct to YouTube special. This one brought to you by Michael B, who donated to see The Rock maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then donated again and said, hey, run it back, but better. So this is The Rock, but better. All right, so last time around, I ported his modern deck to Legacy, and now we're going to try to upgrade that Legacy deck. Last time around, the deck had 6 cards that I didn't really like. I had 4 Mishra's Baubles and then 2 Grim Flares, and I've subbed those out of the deck for a few other cards. The big thing that I want to try out today is Abundant Harvest. So when I was playing with Mishra's Bauble, I essentially wanted to thin the deck a little bit and like get something that would work well with Bobs and Tarmogoyfs. And Abundant Harvest kind of does a lot of the things that the Bauble did. And we're going to see how this feels in comparison. So this is something that can let us hit our early land drops, or if we don't need lands anymore, it can just get us to a business spell. And boy, this deck has business spells. So I cut the 4 Baubles for 4 Abundant Harvests, and then I cut the 2 Grim Flares for 1 more land. I think I added the Blooming Marsh. I'm not 100% sure if this is the land I should run in this slot. Like, maybe it should just be another fetch land. Maybe it should be a Temple Garden. But I think this deck has maybe a mana issue. I think the mana is good enough. I didn't bust out the hypogeometric calculator to like check or anything. But I think things look okay eyeballing it. The big issue is that now sometimes I'm going to want to Abundant Harvest on 1, but Hymn to Turok on 2. And since I also have Hexdrinker, a good portion of the time I'm going to want a green source on turn 1, which means I won't always be able to fetch mono basics all game. Abundant Harvest will kind of help out with that because it will draw me into other lands. But that's going to be something I'm going to be keeping an eye on in this league is like, am I fetching green, like forest, too much on turn 1? And that's not allowing me to Hymn to Turok on turn 2. That's something I'm going to be keeping an eye on here. And then I added 1 other card to the deck. I don't remember. It might have been another Ooze or... No, it was the 3rd Plague Engineer. That was the other thing I added. The sideboard has mostly stayed the same. I made very small substitutions. Choke became Carpet of Flowers number 2 because damn Carpet of Flowers is good. I added a Cling to Dust as another way to fight against Uro. So now we have 4 3 Surgicals, 1 Cling to Dust. And I think I shoved another Liliana's Triumph into the sideboard because that card overperformed last time and was really good. All right, let's go ahead and hop into the league and see how this goes. Please consider dropping me a like before this video gets started. That sort of thing helps out with video metrics a lot. Did you know, like, only 4% of people who watch YouTube videos tend to drop a like? Just random stat of the day. Food for thought. We've gotten paired against my good friend Bryant Cook. I said good luck. He said your podcast sucks. We're going to assume that Bryant is on a combo deck of some nature. My opening hand does have a Thoughtseize. It doesn't have like the biggest pile of stuff, and I have 2 cards that are kind of dead. Not exactly dead, but kind of dead. I think I will go ahead and keep this hand, but this one's borderline. If he ends up playing a non-storm deck, which is very possible, then this hand can be quite good. He's been experimenting more recently, so let's see what's going on. Oh, is a Stormy Boy by Wishclaw Talisman. All right, moving on. All right. So I'll lose Abrupt Decay here. That's not bad. Do I just want to do that? I just want to do that. Assassin's Trophy isn't exactly crazy in the situation that I'm in. Let's get the clock into play. And I am just going to pay the life to take one card out of the deck here. If he starts going off, I will die. And that's just all there is to that. I'm going to potentially have Veil of Summer to worry about in post-sideboard games. But get a pile of, like, Surgicals plus 2 more Inquisitions. I don't think I'm going to hold up Assassin's Trophy here. I think I'm just going to beat and play the Tireless Tracker. So this is probably the scariest turn of the entire game. This is the turn where I think I can reasonably die. If I get a couple of cracks at a clue, there's a pretty good chance that I draw into discard. That's not bad. Yeah, I think I'll just crash in and then discard one. Does take out the Assassin's Trophy, but that's not really the sort of card that I'm in love with in this matchup. Like, it's fine. I won't be fetching purely to thin here. The difference between odd and even life total points matters when you're playing against tendrils specifically. So while 18 to 17 is basically no difference, the same is not true from the next thing down. So what do we got? Wishclaw. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just get past inflamed. Oh, no bad nose. Holy mana, Batman. I assume that kills me. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I am quite dead. We'll let Bryant do it, though. Thoughtseize for Storm. I respect it. Luckily, I believe we're high enough where we can't get styled on with a Grape Shot kill. So, Assassin's Trophy is, like, very easily my worst card, along with Liliana the Last Hope. Those things need to go. Beyond that, I can probably go down on the number of Abrupt Decays I play. They're still nice because they can tag Wishclaw Talisman, but that's not really my plan. Also probably go down on Plague Engineer. It's nice to have, like, some answers to goblins, but this is not how I'm really looking to win the game. I want these oofs. I want these IOKs. I want some number of surgicals. I maybe don't need to overload on them, but they're totally fine. I also think that this is not necessarily the best Abundant Harvest matchup. I don't necessarily want to spend a mana to turn a card into another card. I just want to have the card in the first place. How do I feel about like Decay versus Abundant Harvest? Decay might be better. That's close because like Abundant Harvest sometimes turns into like these sweet cards. Ooze is also pretty slow. Could cut this, play like a library and another Decay here. Let's see how this feels. This is a reasonable hand that is not good enough for this matchup. This hand is pretty legit. I will keep this. I have turn 1 IOK with Surgical if I need to into him, which is pretty gross. Okay, so I'm going to keep this and I'm going to toss back the Abundant Harvest. Yeah, I think I'm going to take the Wish Claw here and then plan on extracting it. I don't need to do that immediately because this is a 2-mana thing. Well, we'll punch pretty hard. I'm going to go ahead and Surgical this. If there's a Veil of Summer on the other side of the field, I want to know about it now. All right, anything spicy I need to know about? All right. There's 1 Past in Flames, 1 Grape Shot in the deck, 2 Chain of Vapor, only 1 Veil of Summer. Okay. I wait a turn? No, I probably just shred the hand. I probably just him into him and go from there. Oh, we hit the Adnaz. Beautiful. And then the other unknown card is a land that I forgot to take a screenshot of. Well, I didn't forget. I opted not to. I know the things that I need to worry about. Okay, cool. Oh, wow. Good hits. Good hits. Notably, I do like that Bryant is holding his mana rather than playing it out to help pad the hand to avoid these situations. It isn't working, but I think that's good. Now we'll play a relatively huge Tarmogoyf. And hopefully we'll just bring the beats. So I feel like I have an okay set of cards at my disposal. I was a bottom there. Bob is a fantastic draw. I would like more anti-combo stuff than what I have currently. Like something like a Collector Oof would be just absolutely clutch. All right. Yes. Yes. Cast in Flames. Cast in Flames. I believe that will just kill me. Uh, Rit, both with Threshold, is a bajillion D mana. And then my opponent gets Infernal Tutor while still Hellbent, grabs the Tendrils, and then casts Ponder Preordain. And that brings the storm count to lethal because I am at 17. Yup, GG. This is sort of a weird opening hand because this is either great or terrible depending on whether I've been paired against a fair or unfair deck. I'm gonna mulligan this. It's just a little too polarized for my liking. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and lead on the Thoughtseize. Good against an all-in combo deck, and if it's a fair deck, I can just take a removal spell from my opponent's hand. Alright, hope you like Storm, because that's what we're doing today. We're going to grab the LED from this hand, I believe. There's an argument to take a Lotus Petal, because a Lotus Petal is potentially going to be used to fire off a Brainstorm and try to sculpt this hand into something that's more reasonable. But LED allows them to, like, get Hellbent and do a bunch of other things. And I'd like to cut off that axis. I do not have the right cards in hand for this matchup. This hand with the Thoughtseize was better than the 7 for sure. I can start hitting for 4 next turn, or I can play a Tireless Tracker next turn. I don't know where exactly I'm going to be. It's really dependent on my draw. Like, the immediate pressure is nice to make Ad Nauseam worse. I think I just go ahead and use Abundant Harvest here. What happens to the rest of these? They go on the bottom in a random order. Fetch first. That way I can keep some lands on the bottom of my library. Alright, that doesn't look so bad. I think I go ahead and just attack for 2 here and then play Tarmogoyf. There's no instant in the graveyard yet, so it's likely to be one larger in about the next turn cycle. The jury is still out on Abundant Harvest in this deck. I've boarded it out a bit. I've thrown it away in some mulligans. We'll see what happens. Alright, you've brainstormed. Now what? Still thinking, apparently. Second brainstorm? Oh, preordained. Okay, so this will shuffle away those bad cards from brainstorms and reset their top of library. This does mean, though, if they don't play a land, they're still not on blue mana. I can slam the door on an ad naus kill. Maybe this turn. This will be 7 total power. Ooh, unless I die. Did not die. Is there an instant? Yeah, there is an instant, so I don't need to do this pre-combat. There is a weird question of whether or not I actually do this on my turn. Because my opponent can think they can go for it and then be wrong. And that's pretty rough for them. But I could run into some weird past in flames situations where I really don't want to do that. Actually, I should do it on their turn, I guess, because of like a Veil of Summer. I'm not seeing that as much in game 1 scenarios anymore, but like it's something to keep in mind. There's no cost to playing around that there. Alright, so I can hit for 8 this turn. And also Plague Engineer Goblin. That seems fine. It's never a guarantee versus Storm. And in fact, playing this Urborg can give them, the ability to tap a fetch land or mana without actually fetching. So, like, that's also something to be aware of. But I think I'm supposed to go ahead and make that land drop. All right. Can this brainstorm save it? They don't get to just add naws and draw half their deck. So I feel like the answer is no. But they will have 5 cards. It'd be like double Cabal Writ. Ooh, double Cabal Writ, Lotus Petal, Past in Flames, maybe? Yeah, you would need a tutor 2 on top of that? Yeah. Alright. Probably want this stuff. I can also think about Carpet of Flowers. I don't think I'll do that, but it's not crazy. So until I know whether or not my opponent has Wish Claws, I probably go down pretty light on decays. Not every build of Ant does. Probably trim Abundant Harvest again. I get rid of Lily Last Hope. Notice here versus Ant, I am going to opt to bring in the Cling to Dust, whereas I didn't do that versus TES. I think I'll keep both Oozes here. I boarded one of those out before. Go down a Tracker. Yeah, maybe like against these combo decks, like Abundant Harvest is not consistently isn't consistently hitting the cards that I want it to hit. Like, I can hit a non-land, but that non-land can be like Hexdrinker or Tarmogoyf, and like that's not worth the mana for that to happen. Yeah, in these high velocity matchups, I don't think I like the Abundant Harvest all that much. And maybe I should even play another Abrupt Decay just for Lion's Eye Diamond over the other one. But I'll keep one. It just gives me another turn one play for hands that I keep based on the strength of something like a Hymn to Torok or Collector Oof. Alright. I kept my opening hand. That goes Thoughtseize into Hymn to Torok. Seems good. We'll see if we just get like duressed on turn one. We do. We'll probably lose Thoughtseize. There's a world where we lose him instead, depending on the speed of our opponent's hand. It's okay. If we lose Thoughtseize, we just play Hexdrinker instead on turn one. And that's still an okay turn. Not great, but like, you know, it's our equivalent of putting a Delver into play. I guess another thing I could have done for these Storm matchups is maybe boarded out like the Volrath Stronghold, because the colored mana is not really something that I'm looking for in an opening hand. And going down one land is probably not detrimental. I do need to watch for Veil of Summer. I don't know if I'm really going to get to play around it. It might just be one of those things where like him is such a good card that I am priced into casting it on turn two, even if my opponent like holds up a Misty Rainforest or something. We'll see though. All right, by him. Hello, Hexdrinker levels. Hello, Bobbert. I want to find new disruptive cards, and this is a fantastic way of doing that. Leveling Hexdrinker is a luxury in these sorts of matchups. Like, we're fine with this, you know, being our Isamaru or our Goblin Guide or whatever, and just cracking in for 2. That's not like the greatest clock in the world, but like once it's 4 from something like a Bob, it becomes much more reasonable. Oh, surgical. I just want to hit for 6 and make Adnaz worse. I don't really want to surgical any of this stuff. Just hitting for 6 is not bad. As soon as I play surgical, Tarmogoyf does get larger and hits for 3. Yeah, let's just crash in for 4 this turn. Go ahead and play a Tarmogoyf. I guess I'll make this land drop first. And level? Level. Yeah, that decision is close. The next turn, I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 potential damage. Assuming that an instant gets into the graveyard either through me surgicaling or through me, or through them casting a cantrip, rather. Alright, opponent went into the tank for a while, and then played LED. See if I'm dead. Okay. Oh, that's weird. So I could surgical extraction and take them off of threshold. I don't think mana's the bottleneck here, though. Alright. I think I need to math. So if I take them off of threshold, they have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 total mana. They have Infernal Tutor as their last card. We can go down to 11, 9, 7. For an Infernal Tutor chain. Or it would be 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think I want this to be insulation from Past in Flames, not taking them off of mana. This is still just a shit ton of mana. Oh, damn. So they have the Past in Flames. Well, you're planning on casting Past in Flames and then trying to win off a Preordain that I will surgically extract? No cards in hand. There is literally just a Preordain. None of these cards are tutors. Yeah. I will surgically extract your Preordain, I guess. That's really weird. Like you do you, I guess, but yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. The mana doesn't work in this opening hand. Let's throw this back. How much do I believe in Bob? Slash, like, the land that I will draw off the top of the deck. I don't think this much. This hand's, like, pretty solid if I were to get a second land. Let's try to find a safer hand. Yeah, this is good. Let's throw back Plague Engineer and then one Abundant Harvest. I don't know if we throw back the Abundant Harvest or the Hexdrinker. I think the Abundant Harvest. I think I play a Hexdrinker out on one, hoping my opponent kills it so that my Bob lives. Question mark, question mark. Please don't be Storm again. I want some variety for this video. Otherwise, the thumbnail is just going to be Rock Smash Storm or something dumb like that. Welcome back, Bob. Now it's not going to be like Storm, it's going to be Doomsday instead. And I'll just be like, damn it. So Abundant Harvest is kind of cool with Bob. Like, you hit a bunch of spells instead of lands. And then you, like, Abundant Harvest for a land and play your spells out. Okay, it is not just another round of Storm. Storm is already a 3-4, by the way. I don't know how to play out this turn. I think I just grab another land here. Land? Thoughtseize? I don't think I want to play Tarmogoyf into a daze here. I think I'll go ahead and Thoughtseize. If there's a fatal push, wouldn't mind it going now. Oh, wow, double Gurmag Angler. Those are a little hard to kill. I guess the second one kind of gets stranded in hand. This is awkward. Alright, well. I will take a Young Peasy. And I think I want mana stability. I think I just let this Bayou get wastelanded. And grab a Swamp, and we'll use that to level Hexdrinker. My opponent doesn't draw a removal spell. I can just make a big Hexdrinker. What a savage. What a savage. Now, luckily, this isn't enough cards in graveyard to get the Gurmag Angler this turn. I get one more turn. I could take one of the Gurmag Anglers, but that doesn't really accomplish what I want it to accomplish, so I'll play out Tarmogoyf. And then I'll use the Thoughtseize to make sure they don't get a second one. That's a 1-mana Gurmag Angler. Although, honestly, these top decks, though. This is an awkward draw. It's fine if I draw something that answers Gurmag Angler. Like whether that's a Death Toucher or a Liliana or a Assassin's Trophy. It's fine if I draw something that answers the Gurmag, but if I don't, like I'll probably take an average of 6.5 damage per turn cycle or something like that. I also just need to Thoughtseize this other Gurmag Angler away. Risk it for the biscuit, abundant harvest for a land. Hope the land is green so that I can abrupt decay the Delver. I think I need to work towards like a Plague Engineer ASAP. I'm gonna go ahead and risk it here. Cool. Actually, maybe it's more important to take the Gurmag Angler from hand. I have more answers to a Delver than I do to Gurmag Angler. Yeah, I shouldn't have fetched. Shouldn't have fetched. I'll be in a bad spot if the Delver blind flips, but I think I'll be in a worse spot if my opponent has Gurmag Angler. This game has been awkward. Holding the Dark Confidant back so that it can block up an attacking Delver if my opponent doesn't flip it. Alright, my opponent flipped it. I think that means I'm basically dead. Like, Bob can chump block Gurmag Angler so I don't literally die. But I think the metaphorical damage has been done here. Push me? Don't push me. Alright. Seed. And seed. I do think our deck is fine versus Delver, though. Like, I feel like we have a good amount of removal and a good amount of must-answer cards. Things just didn't line up well that game. All right, so I will be boarding in 3 Liliana's Triumphs, 2 Carpet of Flowers for sure. We can talk about something like these as well. Lily Last Hope is nice against Young Pyromancer specifically, because that's something that like is very awkward with the Liliana's Triumphs, but Plague Engineer is good against Young Pyromancer. I don't think I want to lose life to my own cards all that often. Like, I'll keep Bob, because, like, Bob is Bob. Gives me 6 turn 1 plays. IOK awkwardly does not take Gurmag Angler. Sorry, this gives me 9 turn 1 plays. I have so many turn 2 plays with this deck. Maybe do want to do something like this and just help spread out my curve a little bit. Yeah, let's try something like this. On the draw, I don't think I'm going to like the discard as much, and on the draw, I might look at, like, Library Cling, Abundant Harvest over some of these other options. And it's very bad versus Wasteland, but otherwise is fine. I think I'll keep it. I do have a relatively high land count in the deck. But I have something like 19 lands plus 4 Abundant Harvests to draw towards every time. Did not see Stifles in game 1. There's something to just playing the Abundant Harvest this turn and naming land to make sure that I can easily play my cards next turn, but I think staying on curve is nice. And if I don't have the discard to clear the way for the Bob to keep the Bob safe, might as well just run it out there, and maybe the Tireless Tracker gets to resolve instead. Abundant Harvest is weird. Like, I have this one colorless land in my deck, and I have a whole bunch of basics and a bunch of multicolored cards that cost both green, black. And there's going to be some weird times where, like, I cast an Abundant Harvest hoping to do something else, and it just doesn't work out the right way. Abundant Harvest non-land? I think I'm good with that. This is a cantrip. It's got to be a Gurmag Angler situation, right? Like, that's just the next card they need in graveyard to cast this Gurmag Angler. That is the threat that caused them to keep the hand. Oh? Alright. Are we at Assassin's Trophy a land time? I might be. Kinda greedy. I'll do it. Like, the optics for my next turn look a little bit better if I do this. Like, this can force a Daze out of hand to let Tireless Tracker resolve, or it could just blow up a land. Or it could get a Spell Pierce, or a Flusterstorm or something. Yeah, cool. Like, that's a 1-for-1 trade. I'm good with that. I think Plague Engineer is the more valuable card, so I'll save that. Unfortunately, no land to extract immediate value from Tireless Tracker, but can't have it all. Opponent's hand was super weird. So this is not something that dies to Abrupt Decay, unfortunately. And I think I am supposed to cast this turn, rather than in my opponent's upkeep. Oh, hot damn, it just worked. I was not expecting that. I was expecting Force of Will or Force of Negation. Like, my opponent, like, really did not play anything in the early game. Thought they were, like, building towards a Delve threat. Probably want to board in the Cling to Dust. Like, it can be life gain or just something to help trim the graveyard. Sure. I will go ahead and play this out because it lets me play Plague Engineer while also leaving up Abrupt Decay. We'll name Human for this. Oddly, that does make my Abrupt Decays kind of worse. Because, like, a lot of the things that I would Abrupt Decay are humans. That's fine. I don't think I Abrupt Decay this. I think I just play Plague Engineer. Human. Goodbye, Human Shaman. Now I have, like, Gurmag Angler, or sorry, now I have 2 answers to a Gurmag Angler. Kill it in combat via Death Touch or Liliana's Triumphant. Force of Will? Feels kind of like Force of Will. We're past the point of the game where Carpet of Flowers is insane. I will still play it. Like, if my opponent has a Force of Will, this is the sort of card that they still might Force of Will. Because it can become insane if I get something like a Tireless Tracker that I can, like, sink mana into. Yes. Game concession? Yeah. Happens to us all. All right. What if anything do I want to do differently on the draw? Abrupt decays are weird. They don't answer everything, which is awkward, but they're very good at answering the things they do answer. I kind of want these 3 cards on the draw. The Sylvan Library mostly for selection, not actually for like the ability to draw cards with it. That's not something I would really intend on doing with it. I like my discard less on the draw. I just want to be playing to the board. All right, what about like Cling and Library? Cling's not good at just like ripping through a graveyard in the same way that a Scavenging Ooze is, though. Maybe this is just the 60 that I'm submitting. Like, these are all fine cards. Some of them are a little slower than others. Like the Tireless Trackers, for example. But I think this is an okay plan. I don't know about the hymns. Like, the hymns can hit the cards that I care about, like, you know, the Whale and Gurmag Angler. That can threaten to take over a game. And, like, maybe that's a reason to play them. But I think I'm hoping to overload my opponent with removal in many cases. Yeah, this will be a keep. Abundant Harvest can get me another land on turn 1. Sort of a neat thing about Abundant Harvest is that when you cast it, your opponent doesn't know whether or not you're looking for the land or non-land until it resolves. Do this off forest. Like, they don't know if I am going to look for land or non-land, and I don't really know either. I think I just want to land. Like, my cards are good. I just want to be able to cast them. Now I can play everything off basics for the first 3 turns. There's Ram out and Ooze. Am I fine with Ooze trading for Bolt or Fatal Push right now? I think so. 4 days, yeah. A little awkward to play like Ooze off Swamp when I would like as many green symbols as possible. But I think it's correct too. Like, I want to have black for Lily Veil next turn. And Lily of the Veil gets gross with Lily on his Triumph. That is a combo. Because it becomes an Edict plus a discard spell instead of just an Edict. Fine basics. I'm fine with playing into Dazes here. Yep, that's fine. These are the prizes right now. The prize is not this card. I just want to be able to double Edict my opponent when or if they play a Gurmag Angler sized threat. It kind of feels like that's what's happening. That would be 7 for Gurmag. Yep. Continue to play basics here. Everything has just kind of worked this game. A little land heavy right now. I think that's fine. Maybe want to fetch before drawing, but eh. Like, there are reasons like Tireless Tracker to not do that. 1, 2, plus Peatland. Bob probably doesn't live. Probably fine. There's some very weird corner case timing things here involving like wastelands and days. I don't think I'm going to play around. Leaving open this. I think I just draw my card now. Thoughtseize though. I can wait. Sure. That's fine. I don't know if that's significantly better. What? And I would have gotten the carpet if I drew for it. Oh well. This good. Comment if this is what good looks like. Yes. We'll make green. I'd like to play Hexdrinker. 1. A 2. A 3. Oh, yeah. Alright, now we have protection from instants. That's hot. I will go ahead and just play Dark Confidant here as well. We're still playing it around a daze. And then we can level up this bad boy once more. So next turn, I probably pre-combat Carpet of Flowers to level up Hexdrinker the rest of the way. And then I might just have my opponent on about a 2-turn clock. We'll see what happens. Sure. Nice. Make some green mana. So I need 4 mana to do that, which still leaves me with enough to just play all my other stuff. I will go ahead and just level the Hexdrinker fully now, in case There's another Brazen Borrower. Or no, I don't even need to worry about that. Alright, now I can just crash in. We are protected. We are Hexdrinking. Carpet is great tech with Hexdrinker. Oh yeah. I'm loving it. I don't think I assembled Carpet plus Hexdrinker last time I played Rock. But it feels good. Do this now? I guess do this now. Goodbye, Delver. And you know what? Just cuz. Just cuz. Have to play around a Hex Parasite on the other side of the battlefield. The correct play. So it's correct. Looks like we might have a Gurmag Angler. Might Tarmogoyf still be bigger than it? Probably not. Creature, sorcery, planeswalker, instant. Oh no, I'm still a freaking 5/6. Go. Double lightning bolt on Tarmogoyf. All right. So I think. No, they were taking 11. Yeah, they needed to double bolt that. They couldn't save it to try to go for lethal. All right, I've got lethal next turn. I'm not going to meme and just put a billion counters on Hexdrinker this turn. The joke was funny once. All right, we've gotten the GGs. That was a pretty close one. Like, our opponent had us at 4. Deep. And has, like, a good set of options. If we find ourselves paired against a combo deck, I can cast an Abundant Harvest to try and work towards finding a discard spell. And if I don't, I can just lead on a Hexdrinker. Is Underground Sea a good Magic card? Seeing a lot of that card today. Our opponent played Doomsday. Vague feeling like they played Doomsday. I did a quick search on our opponent. I think they play Ant, so I'm just going to go ahead and Abundant Harvest for non-land and try to find a discard spell. That's not a discard spell. Alright. Third batch of Storm. Well, presumably. I mean, my opponent could be on another deck, but they've got a couple of finishes with Storm, so... I feel confident enough that there's something to generate going on the other side of the table. Alright. Well, we're just gonna play a pair of these sexy drinkers here and go from there. This is a good clock now. Like, I'll hit for 4, and then I'll hit for 9, and then my opponent will be dead. 3-turn clock. Although I haven't interacted with my opponent. Like, I haven't played a discard spell. I traded 1 for 1 via Thoughtseize, but otherwise, you know, they're going unmolested here. All right. Am I dead? Feels dead. So my opponent really needs to hit a Lotus Petal here. Wait, hold on. Did they play their land drop this turn, or did they just fetch? Okay, they didn't do a land drop yet. This is awkward for them. Because I probably have 7 power by leveling up a Hexdrinker. Yeah. Now the rest of their turn also becomes complicated. Like, do they play out LEDs to play around discard? Alright, well, my turn's not complicated. Its turn's shit sideways. Or sorry, I have 6 power, not 7 power. My opponent's Adnaz wasn't great since they hit the Dark Petition. See if the Dark Petition can kill me. Oh, that can kill me. Quite easily, I believe. They missed before. So this just gets past in flames. Storm count. Now they Dark Petition. For a Cabal Writ. An Infernal Tutor for Tendrils. Yeah. Alright. I mean, we got close. Womp, 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 womp. Just want to let the tendrils kill me this time. Alright. This stuff. This stuff. I think I don't like this. I trimmed on these. Removed this. I think I shaved these pretty heavily. And maybe I cut this colorless land that doesn't actually cast my early spells. Maybe I go down on all the decays. I don't know. Alright, let's sort this by converted mana cost. Sorry. Mana value. It's mana value now. This is a decent pile of interaction. Tracker could be something else. Like a tracker could be a library, just as another turn 2 play. Although, like, a tracker is a body. A tracker kills and kills relatively quickly. Maybe this is okay. I lean slightly towards no on carpet, and I'm still not sure on some of these exact numbers of, like, Abundant Harvest and Abrupt Decay. Yeah, the sand is almost literally perfect. Like, if I could replace the Plague Engineer with maybe another land, this would be about the hand that I would pick for myself. Oh, opponent also mulligan to 5. Awkward. If I take the Ponder and they just like spike a tutor off the top, is that awkward for me? So it's maybe that's not a disaster. I think I do just want to take the Dark Ritual though. Collector Oof takes care of LED next turn. I don't know, maybe I can just take Ponder. Take Ponder. Taking the Dark Ritual is interesting since I have Collector Oof specifically, but stopping a plan from forming is always nice. And now I think I just hurl discard spells at my opponent until they keel over and die. I think I'm going to him first this time. Ooh, LED and Infernal Tutor. Alright. Now I will Thoughtseize. Oh yeah, I will take your decay. That feels good. Draw Step Surgical Infernal Tutor sounds good. What's a life total, by the way? Alright, they're done with me. Alright, that one felt good. Let's do that again. I liked that. I wonder if Tireless Tracker is too slow on the draw. Let's turn a Tireless Tracker into a Sylvan Library. On the draw to catch up on mana, I could also play a Carpet of Flowers or two. It's not crazy, because I just have so many things that I can do with my mana. It also makes some of the things like Plague Engineer a little more relevant. Yeah, for the sake of variety and testing, let's see how Carpet of Flowers feels here. And is fine. It's not better than fine, it's just fine. Feels like I'm about to get, whatchamacallited. Green stupid carded. But I don't think I get to play around it. Veil of Summer. Like, if I cast Inquisition and I trade with Veil of Summer. Like my opponent ends up winning that interaction, but then the Tarmogoyf's big-ish, and I'm okay with that at the end of the day. Not happy, but okay with it. My opponent's turn 3 is the turn that I'm really scared of. Alright, let's put the clock into play. My opponent has 7 cards, and I haven't successfully attacked their hand yet. This is the turn where you offer your prayers to whichever MTG divinity you're a fan of. For me, it's Karanos, God of Storms. A little overcosted for legacy standards, but an old god, a good one. All right. Am I dead? Feels like that's a yes. All right. I haven't finished the math yet, but I believe this kills me. It's just Cabalrit, Infernal Tutor. Oh, wait, hold on. Not dead? Dead. Dead. I missed the untapped blue land for the last needed points of storm. GG's, opponent. GG's. All right. We are playing against Reaple Cheap, who is probably playing Curses. They do play other decks, but... My opponent's hand sucks. Like, this is a do-nothing hand. And I don't know why they kept it. Like, I guess I take their duress effect, so I can protect my abundant harvest? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I could also take Dark Ritual because it stops a bunch of the best top decks. Collective Brutality is probably the most flexible card there. I'm gonna go ahead and take that. Alright, so I guess I will Abundant Harvest for non-land. That's not really great, but it's not disastrously bad either. I will grab a basic here. I think. Because it makes their one card cost more if I do. Yep. I'll take your removal spell, I guess, because the rest of that hand does not do anything. Not that my hand is particularly great either, but... This Lily emblem will kill relatively quickly. Sure. Has no impact on the game currently. Bayou. Probably Bayou. I could just play Nurturing Peatland and plan to crack it next turn. Although I don't know if I want to crack against Trinisphere. Like, I can realistically work towards double spelling because I do have 6 total mana. Dark Ritual now also not a card because of Trinisphere. I guess I'll crack Nurturing Peatland since like I have 6 lands again. Yeah, that's totally fine. Obviously, a bit worse than usual because I can't just funnel a bajillion mana into it in one turn. Sure. I don't know that Liliana is more threatening than this Hexdrinker. Okay, so my opponent needs black for something. Sure. You have evasion. Don't have evasion. That's fine. I won't attack this turn. Awkward though. It's fine. Oh, I can remove this draw set stop. I don't need that. I don't think I want to remove a land from my deck before my Bob flip. All right. Walrath Stronghold is also a little awkward with Bob currently. More awkward with second Bob. I think I'm supposed to play out the second one, though. It's a blocker for an opposition agent if my opponent plays one. Yeah. Draws have not been particularly great. My name's Zombie this time for the lifelinking thing. Palace on 2 is fine. There's a world where I want to put Hexdrinker on top of my library because I know I will take 1 damage off of that rather than a larger amount of damage. I don't think I'm going to do that, though. Like, I want to hit 0s if possible. Oh. Alright, revealed forest off the first one. And another land off the second one. Fantastic. Mostly. Yes. I have summoned the Snake Familiar. Now I just need to not get ensnaring bridged this turn. I have lethal if my opponent turns all my stuff into 1/1s too. Alright. Now, notably, my sideboard doesn't really have great options for killing enchantments because Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy are kind of supposed to do the heavy lifting there. I think I want Oof for my opponent's artifact mana and some of the things they can get off Karn. I think I want Library for selection. I think I want Tracker to help grind. A lot of my cards are kind of decisively medium. On the draw, my cantrips are worse because Transfer and Chalice can come down on turn 1 off of Dark Ritual. I don't think Inquisition is great. There's a bunch of 4+ drops that I need to hit in this deck, such as Karn. Ooze is Lily's kind of slow. Plague Engineer is but it has Death Touch, which is nice against some of the Rotting Regisaur-sized creatures that this deck can play. I What doesn't make the cut here? Probably trim some 1-drops. Like maybe the Abundant Harvests go. That would be my 4 for 4. I don't think Plague Engineer is exactly great. But I do still need to get my opponent's creatures dead. If they play them. And just having things that can pressure a Karn is totally reasonable as well. I don't know about Abundant Harvest. On the play, I think it's slightly more reasonable than it is on the draw. This hand is unexciting, but fine. I have a win condition that doesn't just eat it to Chalice on 1. Is this the removal spell on the other side? Yeah. I should have thought about getting Forest there. I don't think I'm supposed to. Like, oh no, it's 1 less. Yeah. I don't need to worry about that discount of 1. Sure. Alright. That's pretty good. Thing will kill me pretty quickly. Sorceress Spyglass. I guess I saw Hexdrinker and Lily. That's not crazy. So I assume I lose Hexdrinker here. So one of the -1/-1 effects. Oh, nope, just going for Cruel Reality. Fine. It's creature or planeswalker. That makes this worse. Alright, what is the plan to win? Find Assassin's Trophy. That is not Assassin's Trophy. Do I just play a Hexdrinker into this? Sure. I think the Hexdrinker will just die, or something like an Overwhelming Splendor will happen. Oh no, I guess I need to cycle this before Overwhelming Splendor comes into play. That's just more important. Oh, wait, hold on, did I not play land? No, I played the Cycler. Really? Oh, well, that's not for me, that's for their own helms. This is probably the point where I can't win. Is that true? I have one thing that answers these. Get rid of the cruel reality. All my creatures die forever. Well, okay. I could Liliana of the Veil ultimate maybe multiple times in order to take some of those other enchantments out of play. Alright, so I still do have outs. They're just not good ones. Notably, this the fetch land is not currently a fetch land because of this. Oh wow, also Curse of Fool's Wisdom. That one is not always played. Alright, now I don't have outs, I don't believe. Alright. On the play, do I want to do anything differently? The Inquisitions can stop some of the early stuff from coming down and can take some of the dark rituals that accelerate my opponent out. I think I'm fine with having that. Maybe go down one Plague Engineer, and then maybe on the play, I'm not looking to filter draws so much as I am to slam creatures into play that just kill my opponent. Let's try this. Alright, I've just kept an aggressive hand here. It has Assassin's Trophy to answer like a Curse of Misfortunes or something that comes down early. Otherwise, I just play like Hexdrinker into Tarmogoyf, and try to bash my opponent to death. Alright, so this is a 6/5. You can discard 2 cards and sacrifice Plague Reaver, and you can kind of like move Plague Reaver around. Don't worry about that part of the ability. It just means they can only have 1 creature. I have some options here. I don't think I just want to Assassin's Trophy that thing now. I think I want to play a Tarmogoyf, and then I can consider Assassin's Trophying that next turn. Like, I have 1 of these. I don't want to use it all willy-nilly. Tarmogoyf better than Scavenging Ooze here. Opponent might not put anything into the graveyard. I'm going to play Scavenging Ooze first. Like, they imprinted a Dark Ritual, so they're somewhat unlikely to be able to just play stuff out quickly. When this Tarmogoyf starts growing, it will grow extremely quickly. In Exhibit A. Leveling the Hexdrinker is a little risky this turn. It's quite good if it works. I'm going to start by crashing in for 4. Really want to use this on this. I also don't want to let my opponent get another pot shot for 6. It may be that I'm doing this. I'd also just let my opponent hit me one more time, play Tarmogoyf, and then hope to him and Assassin's Trophy in the following turn cycle. Could also big brain play of like play Tarmogoyf, jump block with it, eat it with ooze, attack back for 5. I don't hate that. Well, I don't hate the option of being able to do that. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Awkward Tarmogoyf is awkward. You don't trample, right? Yeah. Sure. I would love to draw land here. Crap. Now I have to make really difficult decisions. Like, I can just lose to Leyline if my opponent has it. My opponent can also just helm me and pull out a randomly decent creature. Alright, I can just pump Hexdrinker, attack for 7, and then have my opponent dead next turn by, Assassin's Trophying Plague Reaver, and then if they don't flip a Nutso creature off of Helm, I just kill them. Or I can play around losing to a Leyline. There's so many ways to play this turn cycle. Like, I can hymn them and take out resources. Level Hexdrinker once, crash in for 5, put them to 9. There's some worlds where I hit a creature and I actually get in another point of damage this turn. Being taxed on 2 different fronts here, I don't like this. I'm gonna go with the hymn line. Alright. And was not great. Or maybe their last card is a Leyline and I'll just die. But I think if I use resources trying to disrupt Leyline Helm, there's a very good chance I just die to the Plague Reaver. Yep. My opponent has said lose to Trophy or Force of Vigor. Yeah. Yep, well, I have the trophy. I will blow up the Leyline. Now, my opponent can still hit some good stuff here. All right, they hit a land. Okay, so my opponent has a 6/5 this turn. And I can't really do anything this turn. I've been stuck on 3 lands when I need 4. My Tarmogoyf is a 5/6. It will outpace Plague Reaver. So, like, that's going to be okay. Awkwardly, my opponent could, like, Helm for a large number, hit a Plague Engineer, kill my Snake. That wouldn't be great for me. Oh, but they're not instantly dead here. You know, this doesn't have any crazy, like, can't block claws or anything. My opponent somewhat correctly reasoned that if I had Assassin's Trophy, I would have used it on the Plague Reaver, but I was just playing more patiently. Like, knowing that I have 1 Assassin's Trophy to use. They don't know that, though. I don't know when they are supposed to Helm of Obedience. Probably in response to me leveling a Hexdrinker on my turn. I'm just going to always yield to that. This. There's a removal spell over there. I want to know about it. That's fine. All right, now I'm going to reread this bottom part, make sure I understand it correctly. Yeah, that's relevant for multiplayer stuff. Just decay, bash for 3, have lethal next turn. In most scenarios, I think is fine. There is a Helm of Obedience activation for 2 that can happen here. So, like, I could trade Ooze for something. But I think I am supposed to just get in the red zone. I don't even know if my opponent is supposed to activate Ancient Tomb to try and look. I guess I can do it for 1 with Urborg without hurting themselves. Oh, they took a Polluted Delta off my deck, which is actually a card I would be fine drawing. I would love to double spell. Alright, I mean, that's annoying. Alright. I think my opponent is supposed to tap out for Helm of Obedience here if they didn't draw something relevant and try to hit Plague Engineer from my deck to kill Dark Confidant so that I have to sacrifice a Tarmogoyf. Okay. This Thoughtseize is really awkward. I don't think I'm supposed to cast it because it's the difference between, like, a Cruel Reality killing me in one more turn or not. I think I just attack in. My opponent has an instant that kills Tarmogoyf if they cast it in response. If they have a creature, they cast it in response. Should be able to handle anything that comes in off Helm. Alright. That was a slog. The Cruel Reality off the top of my opponent's deck was definitely spooky. GG. Reaple Cheap. GG. Alright. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I mean, the rock still feels good. Like, sometimes you draw the wrong part of the deck in game 1, and you have some ability to adjust for that in the post-sideboard games. I need more data on Abundant Harvest here. This card was not good. It was not bad either. It was just fine. In the late game, I love this card. Like, the ability to just say, I am not going to draw a land here, I am going to draw some other card is totally fine. But the range of cards you can draw is pretty big, right? Like, there's a huge difference between a Thoughtseize and a Tireless Tracker. There's a huge difference between a Hexdrinker and a Liliana of the Veil. So like it's some degree of filtering, and I'm not sure if the speed cost is worth it. I think a good comparison here is, say, a Green Sun Zenith from something like Maverick. Like, that's a great card, and sometimes it clunks up your hand, and you just not naturally having a card slows you down a turn. I need to play more games to know whether or not it's good for me to have Abundant Harvest in this deck. I was a little unsure about like how I felt about it in different matchups. I do think against Storm, it's not necessarily where you want to be, and we played against a lot of Storm today. Overall, pretty happy with this. Maybe this should be a 21 land deck now instead of 22. Like maybe the Abundant Harvest count as like a third or half a land. And if I'm boarding them out, I'm probably playing against combo where it's okay if I'm kind of down a hypothetical land. So I might look to squeeze in one more card somewhere in here if I were to run this back. It might be crazy, but I also think it's okay to play a third Carpet of Flowers in the sideboard, especially if you cut down to 21 lands. Like, Carpet of Flowers plus Hexdrinker is a hell of a combo versus any fair blue deck. That's something I might want to explore a little bit more. I also wouldn't hate having one more card versus combo. Like, I think it would be totally fine to cut like a Sylvan Library or a Tireless Tracker for some sort of like Necromentia style card, or some sort of like permanent based hate for combo. Like, this is a bad example for this deck specifically, but some sort of Thorn of Amethyst style card that can sit on the table and be hateful. I would have to think about exactly what it might be. Maybe Damping Sphere. But overall, this was a really fun league, and I enjoyed it a lot. I hope you did too. If you did, click the like button. If you want to try this video out, check out the deck list. It's in the video description, as is in the donation information if you want to get your own deck on the channel. Have a great rest of the day, folks.